we come with that heat, we got skip on the.
Fade me if you want. Ride with the public. See how that works out for you. And tune in next Friday night at 6 o'clock when we review this week and realize that we went 4-0 here on Public Fades. Well, we didn't go 4-0. We didn't go 4-0. And I'm going to be honest with you. First of all, welcome in Public Fades NFL Week 8 Best Bets. Let's get it. I don't know why I clap when I'm just by myself, because then there's no other claps. But yeah, we didn't go 4-0, 2-2 last week. Just a disclaimer. I'm going to start looking into the uniform matchups before I make these bets. The 2 losses we had, the Chargers were in their ugly mustard yellow uniforms that everybody hated. How are you going to come out and play well and try to win a game when you look like a bottle of Heinz mustard? And then the Bucs failed us as well. I didn't know the Lions were going all black. I had no clue. And if I would have known that, I would have stayed away from that game. But overall, not bad. Not bad, 20-10 on the season. 20-10, not bad. 67%. So we're definitely still in the positive. I mean, we're way above 500, so that's good. But 2-2 last week. I said we're going to try to go 4-0, and we sure as hell tried. We really did try. But 2-2 last week. That brings us to 20-10 overall. We'll go over the games in just a second. If you're tuning in for the first time, what is Public Fades? Well, I go through the sports books. I look at all the games that have 80% or more of the public money on one team. And if it fits that guideline and I like the matchup, then we fade the public. It's as simple as that. Last week, 2-2, I said we're going to go 4-0. We started off 2-0. Looked good. Thursday night, Bengals plus 5.5 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of times I love these divisional rivalry games that fit the model, and I like riding with those. And it showed very well on Thursday night, plus 5.5 with Cincinnati. They ended up winning outright 33-31. They were down 10-0 early into that second quarter, and then they scored 17 unanswered in the first half to have a 17-10, or I don't know. I didn't write the box score down. It's up here though, so it shows. But yeah, they were down 10-0, scored 17 in that second quarter, ended up winning outright 33-31. It was the icy hot bowl. Joe Flacco, A-Rod going at it, 40-year-old virgins dicing each other's defense up, I should say. And 33-31 win for the Bengals. 1-0, called my shot. I like doing that. I like calling my shot. But 1-0 going into Sunday. And then the 1 o'clock slate, we took the Bears minus 5.5. They came out and were up 20-0 at not halftime. I think the Saints scored a touchdown late in the first half. And then they scored another touchdown to make it 20-14. I was a little worried at that point. Looked like the Saints were coming back. And then Chicago closed it out 26-14 over New Orleans. And then we get to the losses, okay? Chargers money line. There was 100% of the money that I saw on my sportsbook app. 100% of the money was on the Colts plus 1.5. We took Chargers money line. They were down 23-3 at halftime. And like I said, ugly uniforms. Jonathan Taylor was cooking that Chargers defense. Lost outright 38-24. So that made us 2-1. And then we took the Bucs Monday Night Football plus 5.5. Injuries continue for Tampa Bay. I said last week Baker Mayfield was my front runner for the MVP, and then he comes out and does not have a Baker Mayfield type game in a 24-9 loss to Detroit. Mike Evans, first game back from a hamstring injury. 10 years in a row, he's had 1,000 yards receiving. and ended up with a broken collarbone as well as a concussion when he laid out on a deep throw from Mayfield. Just landed on the shoulder wrong. Nothing wrong with the play other than how he landed. Buccaneers injuries continue. 24-9 loss to Detroit. Like I said, Detroit in the All Blacks, I'm sure they're undefeated. Uniforms were a problem last week. One uniform I don't like, and this game, while I'm wearing the Jordan Love shirt today, Green Bay versus Pittsburgh on Sunday night. We're staying away from that game, first of all. It's the Jedi versus the Padawan, the OG versus his predecessor. Green Bay at Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh. The uniform matchup is going to it's already pissed everybody off, and the game hadn't even started. Bunch of yellow helmets, yellow jerseys for the Steelers, the tannish, brownish pants for Pittsburgh, and then Green Bay's. Maybe they come out in the all whites, that would look good. But if they do the yellow pants with the white jerseys, yellow helmets, not gonna look good on the eyes Sunday night. But like I said, 2-2 last week, 20-10 overall this season. We're gonna start it off this week. We got 3 plays. We had 4 last week. Going back to that 3 model. Last couple times we've had 3, we've went 2-1. Now we're gonna look to go 3-0. We're gonna look to do it. Jets at the Bengals, 1:00 Sunday. Bengals -6.5. 88% of the money, 81% of the bets are on Cincinnati. Now, I know the Jets are 0-7. They're 3-4 against the spread. Cincinnati came out with a big win. They've looked pretty good under Joe Flacco since they picked him up. Lost by 9 to the Packers. Ended up covering that game. That was -14.5. And then obviously covered last week with the outright win against Pittsburgh at home. They're back at home, 1:00 against a winless Jets team. Although they're 0-7, the Bengals should not be favored by a touchdown over anybody. I want to say that right now. Bengals 3-4 straight up and against the spread. They helped us out last week, but like I said, 7 points is way too much to win by for Cincinnati, in my opinion. They seem to have found a quarterback, but quarterbacks don't help their defense, okay, unless they're putting up 30 points a game, which we saw last week. The Bengals defense is the same. They've let up 31 points against Pittsburgh. Week before, 27 against Green Bay, 37 against Detroit, 28 against the Broncos, 48 against Minnesota, and 27 against Jacksonville. You have to go all the way back to week 1 when the Bengals played Joe Flacco to see where the defense held a team to under 20 points. Okay. Not since week 1 have they let up less than 20 points. Jets team total is set at 18.5. I might end up taking that one, but the official play is going to be Jets plus 6.5. Now, you might look at that and say, oh, they're 0-7. They're 3-4 against the spread. That's not too bad. But like I said, 7 points with the Bengals, I just feel like it's too much. So -6.5, Cincinnati is the line. We're going Jets plus 6.5 as we fade the public here on $1 Million Radio. Then we look to as well the 1:00 slate. Dolphins at Falcons. All right. -7.5 for Atlanta. 81% of the money, 78% of the bets are on the Falcons. Miami, 1-6 straight up. But again, 3-4 against the spread. Atlanta is 3-3 straight up and against the spread. The Dolphins' only win came against the Jets, but they've had 2 losses by a field goal or less. That came against the Panthers and the Chargers. Miami's coming off a 31-6 loss to Cleveland. That was straight Cleveland weather. Misty, rainy, cold. Tua threw 3 interceptions. Didn't look good. They let up 3 rushing touchdowns to Quinshon Judkins. Atlanta defeated Buffalo 2 weeks ago on Monday Night Football, but they lost to San Francisco on Sunday Night Football 20-10. I know they beat the Bills. I know they've looked pretty good. Only scored 10 points last week against a good 49ers defense. This is still the same Atlanta team that lost 30-0 at Carolina a few weeks ago. Good offense, are the Falcons. I'm not quite sold just yet on them. And I'm also not quite sold that Miami is that bad. Okay. I know Tua is. There aren't any words to describe Tua Tagovailoa. Okay. Mercedes-Benz Stadium is a tough place to play. I know that Miami has not looked good. Mike McDaniels is about to be coaching for his job if he isn't already. Do I think the Dolphins come out and beat the Falcons? I think they can. I think they can. But 7.5 just seems like a little bit too much for this line. I know the Falcons are at home, but give me the Dolphins on the road plus 7.5. And I'm not a big fan of that play. Not a big fan of the Dolphins and how they've played this season, but I just feel like 7.5 is a little bit too much. And that'll set us up for 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. We got the Buccaneers at the Saints. NFC South divisional rivalry game. Tampa Bay minus 4.5. We see 83% of the money and 83% of the bets on Tampa Bay. We saw the injuries catch up to Tampa Bay last week. That Monday Night Football loss to Detroit. They're on a short week this week on the road to the Superdome in New Orleans. The public got a little bit ahead of the Saints last week against Chicago, okay? But everybody seems to have short-term memory. I mean, the Saints, I know they're 1-6. What are they? 2-5 against the spread. So they haven't looked great. They're one of the bottom teams in the NFL. Down there with the Jets, the Titans, the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are the best team in that bottom part of the league, and hopefully they help us out. But the Bucs are 5-2 now, 4-3 against the spread. Since Baker Mayfield has taken over Tampa Bay, they've played 2 games in New Orleans in the regular season with Baker. They won 26-9 in 2023, 51-27 last year. All right. The Saints, they're in a bounce back spot after a letdown last week. The Bucs injuries are catching up to them. I think that this line is going to move Tampa Bay minus 5.5 by the time kickoff happens Sunday afternoon. And if you see that line move another point, hammer the Saints. Absolutely hammer them. But for now, we're going to take the Saints plus 4.5. If that line moves to plus 5.5, that will be the play. But for now, we're going to take New Orleans plus 4.5. As we fade the public here again on $1 Million Radio. Seems to be a shorter episode this week, but you do have the plays. Do what you want with them. Like I say, don't bet your house. Don't bet your rent. Bet responsibly is what I'm trying to say. Fade the public. We do it every week. Join us as we continue this 20-10 run throughout the first. Next week is the halfway point of the NFL season. Football season always flies by. There's only a limited amount of time that we can fade the public going forward. Hopefully we'll have some plays for the playoffs, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we're looking at a 3-0 slate this week. I'm going to tell you that. I'm hoping that, like I said, 2-2 last week. There's only been 2 weeks that we went even on the weekend, but we haven't gone negative yet. I want to make sure that everybody knows that we have yet to go negative in a single week here on public fades. We're going to continue that this week. Hopefully 2-1. Well, actually, hopefully 3-0, maybe 2-1. But I'll tell you what, last week was a little weird because the public ended up winning throughout the whole weekend. I think they went 3 games over 500. And we also saw the Colts last week. It said 100% of the money. That wasn't the only game that had 100% of the money. 99.5 or more. I'm sure they round up. But we also saw I didn't mention this last week, but the Packers had 100% of the money on their spread, minus 6.5 at Arizona. Arizona ended up covering. We saw the the Broncos, I think it was -7.5 against the Jets. Against the New York Giants. And Giants should have won that game outright. They ended up losing by 2 on a last-second field goal. But the one that I took was the one that lost, the one that the public won. So I apologize for that. But I just felt like that game was what am I trying to say? It was the best matchup. I know the line was only 1.5. The other ones you had some points to work with, but I really felt like the Chargers had a great shot to win that one. Did not know that they were coming out in the mustard yellows last week, but we're looking to go 3-0 as we fade the public here on $1 Million Radio. Stay tuned next Friday, 6:00 Eastern PM. Public fades. That'll be week 9, I guess. Man, we're moving so fast I can barely keep up. But as long as you hit subscribe, as long as you follow us on TikTok and Instagram and all that at MD Minds, you will be able to stay tuned and catch up with us here on Public Fades. You have the plays. The plays get posted on the TikTok and social medias throughout the weekend, little clips that show where we're going. So don't, when I put that promo clip out on TikTok, don't be like, oh, you're talking about going 4-0, but you ain't giving any plays. Where the plays at? I mean, this and that. Bro, just hit follow, hit subscribe, stay tuned. You'll get the plays. Go check us out on YouTube here at MD Minds. And fade the public with us here at $1 Million Radio. That'll do it for today. You have the plays. We're going 3-0, hopefully. We're going 3-0. But do what you want with them. Ride with the public if you want to. Last week, it might have worked out for you, but this week it's not going to. So, public fades, NFL Week 8 best bets. And as always, we'll see you next time.